Entering service in the U.S. Air Force in 1960, the F-4 Phantom served as America's primary fighter until the 1980s with over 5,000 airframes produced over 23 years and exported to 10 clients across 4 continents. Although initially a troubled aircraft, which was intended primarily for long-range bomber interception and struggled to engage Soviet-built MiG-17s over Vietnam, adaptations to the design culminating in the F-4E in 1965 produced an air superiority fighter that was without rival in the Western world. The aircraft's operational costs were low enough that the U.S. Air Force could afford to field the F-4 as its primary fighter, in contrast to its successor the F-15 Eagle, which was acquired in much smaller numbers, but were still too expensive for most American defense clients, with the cheaper and lower-end F-5 Freedom Fighter and F-5E Tiger II exported as cheaper options. Many countries still opted for and were granted permission to purchase the F-4, in particular those in strategically important positions such as frontline NATO members Turkey, Greece, Britain and Germany, Japan and Iran on the front lines. The Iranian Air Force is by far the largest operator of the F-4 Phantom, and is the only remaining operator of the older F-4D variants, which flies alongside larger numbers of more modern F-4S. F-4s form 5 of the country's 17 fighter squadrons, with an additional squadron of RF-4E reconnaissance jets also operational for a total of around 70 Phantoms in service. They are the second most widely used fighters after the F-5, of which an estimated 80 are in service. Iran is expected to look to the Chinese J-10C, 4++ generation, fighter, and possibly the lighter JF-17 Block 3, which uses similar avionics and weaponry, to modernize its fleet. These would both have significantly lower operational costs than the F-4, meaning replacing the Phantoms would effectively pay for itself over time. Another option for fleet modernization is the acquisition of heavyweight Su-35S fighters, which figures in the Iranian Air Force leadership noted was being considered in September 2022 with a potential order for up to 60 airframes. These would have operational costs far higher than the F-4, and likely force a contraction of the Iranian fleet if acquired to replace them. Iran's ability to produce all spare parts and weaponry for its Phantoms domestically, and to refurbish and modernize the aircraft, means the Iranian Air Force may be loath to part with the Phantoms and again become reliant on foreign sources for upgrades and parts. The F-4 may remain in service until the country develops an indigenous fighter capable of replacing it. The Iranian Air Force began to field the Kosar lightweight fighter, based on the American F-5, from 2018, which are expected to gradually replace F-5s in service. With a heavier indigenous fighter also having been announced, possibly from a similar weight range to the F-4, it remains a significant possibility that the Phantoms are being retained in service until this program produces a viable domestic replacement. Another possibility is that Iran's large combat drone industry, which has produced formidable combat-proven stealth designs, could provide an unmanned successor to the F-4, leveraging what is perhaps the greatest strength of the country's defense sector.